Hello, everybody. We are live, and I am Valerie Green, and I am a relationship coach. And we're playing around with these fun little hearts on top of my head, and just to be funny and silly and playful, just like every good relationship. And I inspire couples to stop fighting and experience love, intimacy, and passion again. And I work with women as well to help them inspire men to meet all of their needs and desires. And I am here with Shane Kulman. And hello.
Hi.
Shane is also a fabulous ecstatic embodiment expert. And Shane is I'm really excited to interview her tonight because she's going to show us how to radiate natural beauty and confidence. And she's such an expert at that. Just take a look at her.
Thank you.
Exactly. I'll tell you a little bit about Shane before she expounds on her magic. And so Shane has been supporting women for years that want more confidence in a myriad of ways. I'm excited for her to tell her story in a minute. And so she's supported powerful business women in getting their way in the corporate world. She's supported moms that want their lives to feel more radiant and in order to really have pleasurable parenting. And she has just inspired women that want to play a bigger, more fulfilling, more pleasurable way in their lives for years and in a myriad of ways. And she's just a powerhouse of beauty and love, and she inspires women to create the lives that they want. And so she is currently running a parenting program, and she is expanding to work with more women in a more embodied way. And I'm just really excited to have her work her magic and let us know how we can radiate natural beauty and confidence. So it's so nice to have you with us. And so welcome. And is there anything you want to say right off the bat, or I'm just curious just to hear how your journey has brought you to the place where you have so much to give to other women.
Wow, hearing you speak, I mean, I'm full of gratitude. Like, I really feel like I'm the person I want to be. And if I could go back into listening to my thoughts as a little girl, I would be like, I like her. And that is such a big deal. That's such a big deal. So thank you for that glamorous introduction. I own it.
I wish that you could have the hearts over your head like I do.
I know. Where are they?
My little girl is happy about me right now too. And she's happy about you.
Excellent. Yeah, I'm really, it's funny, I have my Mama Gina shirt on, and I'm a recent graduate of the Mastery School of Women of, what is it called? Of School of Womanly Arts. And I feel like that's where my major focus is lately. And my whole life has all these different, you'll hear, aspects of becoming a woman, loving myself. What is it like to go from, dark to like bright and healthy in my mind and my body. And so my recent cherry on top with some frosting and glitter and sparkles is having graduated from this mastery program, which gave me the final courage to teach this embodiment work that comes from a place of learning that I have never shared before and kept in the dark and only would tell about it to good friends. So I will share that tonight with you in this interview, actually for the first time in this way, live. So I'm really excited about that.
Ooh, I'm excited about that too. Do tell more.
So the big bomb story that I'm going to share is, so there was a time when I was in college and I wanted to go to the Poconos, which is funny because I'm teaching there this weekend at a connection camp, but I wanted to go to the Poconos. And I had a bunch of girlfriends and we were like, yeah, how are we going to do that? We don't have any money. And so back in the day when I was in college, there was the Village Voice. That was the most popular thing. And I was drawn to the back of the Village Voice, which if you're a New Yorker, you know that that's where like the dirty girl jobs are. You know, there's like massage parlors and dancers and restaurants that are, you know, whatever, all kinds of X-rated stuff. And for some reason I was drawn there. And there was all these ads for waitresses in bikini bars, nude bars, topless bars. And I was like, this is the answer. This is the genius answer. And I dragged one of my girlfriends that I was a sorority sister in college, and she was very shy and just wanted friends. I mean, in retrospect, I could see she was down for anything. So for whatever reason, I selected her, and I'm like, let's go for these job interviews. We could be waitresses and make cash. And we went. We started going to different places, and like, I'd never seen naked women before. I'd never seen topless women. I didn't grow up in a home that embraced sexuality or sensuality or anything of the sort. Even a bra was like, we don't talk about that. So yeah, we went, we became waitresses. And then eventually I was like, I met all the girls, and there was a sisterhood in the dressing room. And it was women laughing and supporting each other and being funny and crying and loving each other and being normal. And they were in college, and they had families, and they had stuff just like me. And so one night, 2:30 in the morning, I jumped on the stage, and I was like, oh, this is for me. And I loved it. Yay.
So yeah, I mean, and I know that you've shared, and I wrote that in one of the emails to talk about this interview, that you really embraced your body and your sensuality in a healthy way, and that you were also like able to live a balanced lifestyle and just be in your own, enjoying your own sensuality. And of course, I have my own journey about that as well. And so how does, and then you've also just done so much other training, and
Yes.
obviously like what taught preschool and
yes. Right. At the same time.
At the same time, which I think is so like what, and we could do a whole nother interview about how relating to men and relating to children, what that taught you about just like how to influence people in a fun, playful way, and that creates connection and fun and harmony within families, because that is what you teach to moms now. And so I'm just wondering, like, how has all that life experience culminated now for you? You talked about the new venture that you're creating called Ecstatic Embodiment. And so I'm just excited to hear what that's about.
Great. And so I love the word ecstatic. And but I do have to say it's enchanted embodiment. No, that's okay. I love all these words.
So amazing. Enchanted embodiment.
Well, and I'll tell you, so, you know, I summed up that story pretty quick, but I was teaching preschool at the time, and I was waking up in the morning and going to work. And for so many years before I was like, oh, I'm going to go work at a strip club, I really, really hated myself. Like, I have a picture of myself. Ooh, I don't know where. At 14, at 13, like really dark, really sad, really afraid. I wouldn't even look at people in the face. Like, I was always turned to the side. My hair was big and in my face. And I didn't know how to be. You know, my body had developed. I was the first one developed in my whole school, probably, basically. And people were calling me slut. And there was no reason I wasn't a slut. I just had large breasts. And this created so much havoc and like abuse during school. And, you know, putting on a bathing suit was awful. And I was just naturally sexy, and it didn't fly with other girls. It didn't fly with boys. And I felt really alone. And I didn't know how to integrate. And so there was all this self-judgment. And I just remember looking in the mirror, wishing stuff would change. My face, I mean, I would, you know, people say, oh, I hated myself, but I like didn't know any other way. And my body became the only way I got attention. And so this game of like, I want to be sexy or I don't want to be sexy. Do I want friends? Do I not want friends? Was always juggled in the air. And really being so hard on myself and just praying for a boyfriend or something so that I would feel safe, so I would feel like protected or something.
Right.
And there were many years of that. And so when I became a dancer, it was a celebration. It was like, oh, I can be sexy here. And there are women that aren't, well, not all, but there's many women that are supportive of me and they're not jealous and we can be friends. And so it was a joyous time for me. I didn't go out after work. I didn't do drugs. I didn't drink to excess. I bought fun costumes, played great music, got to look at myself in the mirror and see beauty for the first time and be appreciated and desired. And I didn't have to do anything. You know, like I could lap dance, but I didn't have to. And it felt very controlling for me, and it fed me in a way that I hadn't been fed in the past, with security, with self-security. And then, as you said, I did a bunch of self-development work, and that's all I do as my social skill, is you know, my social activities is to go do workshops. And so now I'm integrating everything I've learned.
Yeah.
And the last piece of, you know, graduating from Mama Gina's program, and her whole thing is like, you play big, right? So any secret that I have, that it's here to help people, it's here to help women. And I've been teaching this in secret to friends, secret workshops, at retreats. And now I'm like blasting it. Like, I do have a master's in special education. I am a behaviorist, but I am now studying the behavior and sharing the behavior of what it's like to be self-sensual, to be so happy with my body, with myself, that I can support other women in that. And I'm no expert, I'm still growing, but support them so they can get what they want. They can be happy. They'll stop comparing themselves to other women, and pull in whatever they want. So life can feel alive.
I'm so touched by your journey, because it sounds like, I think so many women can relate to the way you were feeling. Like, the society gives us such mixed messages. Like, we are supposed to be sexy. We're not supposed to be sexy. You know, if you look too sexy, then women feel competitive, or men feel intimidated. If you're not sexy enough, then, you know, you don't get the attention. And I think so many women are judging themselves the way that you were. And it sounds like your story was just one of learning how to embrace and celebrate your body and celebrate your beauty in an environment that you could really just do anything and be yourself, and you'd be celebrated for it. And so what was the, I guess what you're saying is that self-sensuality is a culmination of the way that you've learned to overcome your own self-judgment and just accept your own body and your own beauty and be enlivened by it. So tell us a little bit more about what self-sensuality is.
Great. And I just want to touch that. I'd love to say I've overcome self-judgment, but it still exists, right? So I still, you know, do numbers on myself, but it doesn't mean as much, and it doesn't last as long, and it doesn't mean I can't do things. So it could still be happening. I still judge myself. I still think, like, when I catch myself in the mirror, I'm like, oh, I wish that were different. And I'm like, those things don't change so quickly. But what I've come to realize is, if I can entertain myself, whether it's through sensuality or entertainment, I can be specific with other people, and then my life will be easier. So let's just use being with a man, you know, and that's not something I'm an expert in. So I'm glad you are. And
well, it's the same thing for me. I mean, I am an expert in relationships, and I mess up every day too.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I do things that push my boyfriend away, and then I learn from them, and then we repair. But it's the repairing that brings us closer, you know? So I love what you're saying, is that, like, our limiting patterns don't go away. They just become more fun and entertaining, and we can, you know, if I'm judging myself, I can be like, oh, look, that part of me is judging me. Okay, I can play with it and have fun with it, you know, as opposed to letting it bring me down, which is what you're saying. So
Yes, yes. And what I found was when I was dating men, I would lose myself, and it felt yucky, and yet I didn't know how to fix it while in it. And so the self-sensuality piece is, if I know what pleasures me, if I know how I want my eggs cooked, if I know I want my water room temperature, if I know these very specific things about myself, there my desires are met, right? And if my desires are met, I can be present to my sensuality. So I want to make sure I'm really clear on this, because it's not sexuality. And that often is what follows up, because if a woman is in her pleasure and in a place of like, oh, I really love myself, and can be like in this video looking at my eyebrows and be really happy, then I can be present. Once I like myself, once I like my looks, then I can be present. If I'm with a man and I'm like self-conscious or posturing or trying to do something, I'm not really there. Same thing on a job interview, or when at lunch with a friend, or when at a restaurant or a bar. It's like, if that self pleasure is not satisfied, it appears uneasy, and then it can appear needy or not fulfilled. And there's nothing more attractive than a woman who's fulfilled in her pleasure. I don't care what she looks like, what size, shape, color, creed, anything. If that woman is feeling herself in a way that it's like my inner self and my outer self, it takes up space. It has presence. People look. And it's not about eyebrows or lipstick or hair. It's about that walk. It's the conviction in the walk. And women have all had a taste of it. I like to hope and think that maybe it's like you're at a restaurant and you take a walk to the bathroom and you feel like you're flying there. Or you're in a bar and you walk across the room and you feel the energy of men and women looking at you. And you walk a little taller and you walk a little bit like more curvy. And it's that feeling that can be integrated into everyday life all the time. And nobody even has to be around. And it's a way of living that supports manifestation. Because when you're in that place where you can satisfy your own sensuality, it's a gift to let anybody else in on that. Whether it be a partner or a place you want to work or a client that wants to work with you, they want that. Everybody wants to be around that. And so my passion is that every single woman, I don't care, like I said, shape, color, anything. All the what ifs don't matter. If they can get into their self-sensuality and believe in themselves, most of the time, magic starts to happen.
I love that. I mean, it sounds like what you're saying is that when you were relating with other people, that you used to worry or wonder about what they were thinking or what you're doing for them. And that for you, self-sensuality was coming back into yourself and feeling your senses, meaning like noticing your breathing right now. Notice how you're sitting in the chair. What does it feel like? You know, it's as the chair makes contact with your skin, like how does that texture feel against your skin? Like how does, you know, the pressure of the chair underneath you feel grounding, and like noticing how pleasurable the breath can be when it's entering your body. And this is, that's been a big part of my journey too, that just coming into alignment with how right now in this moment you can feel pleasure no matter what else is going on.
No matter, even as I'm
magnetic.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, as you're speaking, it's your words are really impacting me, and I'm like, oh, I'm touching my legs. Like it feels really nice. And you can be at a meeting and just like gently giving yourself, like gently, just taking care of yourself. And it draws people in. I mean, the next time, everybody try this. The next time you're at a meeting or on a date, you know, it doesn't, just gently give your hands a little like texture touching and feel the skin on your hands and just start to really be nice to yourself. We're so hard on ourselves as women. And I will say we are hard on ourselves. I mean, Every billboard is up, you know, all that whole story of like, what's beautiful? What does it look like? You know, if only my mouth was straight, if only my eyebrows were even, if only my eye, it's still alive in me, but it doesn't matter. And all I need to do is some beautiful touching. And all of a sudden I'm like, oh, I want to be nice to myself. So if I can remind myself to be nice, maybe by stroking my eyebrows or just making nice to my skin. You know, I see a lot of women with anxiety wringing their hands. And the next step would be like, oh, when I'm wringing my hands, lighten the touch. You know,
Yeah,
just,
and notice what feels good about it.
yeah. And if it doesn't feel good yet, fake it till you feel it, you know, because it will feel good, because it's what you do for children. It's what we all do, whether we have children or not. Oh, look at the cute baby, you know, but then as adults, we're like, we're so hard, our
Yeah.
movements. And so to slow down is the feminine way of being, to slow down, to eat raspberries, like beautifully, you know, one at a time. And it's a practice.
It's wonderful. And I love the way you're saying it too, because just allowing yourself to nurture yourself is kind of what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
And to allow yourself to be nurtured by yourself, because as women, we're taught to nurture everyone else, right? To give the nurturing to our children or our partner, or even to give our energy to our job, or thinking that we should go out and do good in the world before we really nurture ourselves. And just having some kind of practice of being in your senses and your sensuality just allows you to really receive that nurturing.
Yes, and there's really no difference between nurturing a child and nurturing the self. And it's the senses, like you just said, the sensuality of it is the care. With love, you touch a child, you know, with caressing that like feels good. And then at some point we get into this doing, you know, this pushing. And I'm guilty of it too. There are days my to-do list is there and I'm like, arr. And I feel myself hunched over, you know, my back, and I'm like, oh, what just happened? So the blessing of me offering enchanted embodiment is now I have to really do what I'm preaching, you know? And it's a process, and I'm not perfect. So I'm not coming from a place where I'm like, this is what you have to do. It's like I'm creating this sisterhood because I need it and I want it. And I'm there to be vulnerable as well. I mean, I'm facilitating and I'm holding the container, but I lead from a place of, I grew a lot and fast, and I have these researches and I have these experiences, but I still want to grow. And I can only do that in a witnessing situation of sisters, and doing it the way I know works, based on all my background, based on my theater background, based on workshops, based on Mama Gina's work and the research I did at the strip clubs, and my behaviorist background. Like, all these things are reasons why women, you know, could work with me, is because it's a well, and there's room for everybody to take from it and to give and to take. And that well is where we all can sit around and witness each other's growth. And then no matter what somebody comes to me and says, like, oh, I suck, everything's going wrong, I can't believe this, I'm like, wait, I witnessed you grow. I witnessed achievements. I complimented you. You bragged about it. You can't convince me that you suck.
That's so powerful, because I think that we're all mirrors for each other, and it takes another person to look at us, to see our beauty sometimes, to pull us out of the negative place that we've gotten to. And so tell us a little bit more about your clients. What types of women have had the biggest transformations with you, and what are some of their stories?
Cool. There's one more piece I want to say to that, and then I'll tell you about who I'd love to work with and who I've been working with. So women for centuries have been, women for a long time have been connecting in misery, and connecting
Probably centuries.
probably centuries. Like connecting in victim. Like, oh yeah, you look fat, I look fat. Oh, that was cheap, you should see what I'm wearing. Like, negative connection. And it's easy to connect there. It's
Well, and
challenging.
even worse, like putting each other down, like, you know,
Yes.
like
Right.
the humor in sitcoms is all based on cutting each other down, because that, you know, kind of makes us feel like, well, you know, nobody's better than anyone else. And just the whole thing about the tabloids, for example.
Yeah, I opened up a can of worms. Yeah, exactly. And so the idea is, how can we bring each other up, right? You know, we can read self-help books, we can look at positive things on Facebook, but can you show up in a sisterhood? And the women who get the most out of working with me are women that show up. So whether it's working with me remotely, you know, like this on video, or whether it's a workshop and you show up, or if it's an ongoing program. I don't care what shape you show up in, what capacity, what state of being, angry, sad, afraid, feeling tired, lazy. Can you show up when you're feeling tired and lazy just as much when you show up when you're joyful and everything feels great? And the clients that I've worked with that show up in their crappy states, that feel like I hate everything and I'm clinically depressed, and they still show up, they get the most out of working with me. And a lot of my work is not a lot of talking. So there is sharing, but it's concise and there's a lot of movement, even when we are sharing. Because when you sit, it's like this old paradigm of what therapy is. And it's like sitting and talking about the past. And there's a space for that. But what I've found in my own therapy life is it doesn't move anything. It just feels like, I always picture a fish tank, and you like mess up the sand and it floats up and then it goes back down. And it just stays stagnant. And I'm all about moving forward. So clients, the best transformations are the most resistant women to start out like, you know, I don't know what gets them in the room with me, but their arms are crossed and I feel their judgment, you know, and it makes me like, I don't want to be judged. And I start to like, and then I'm like, you know what? They are investing with their time, their money, their energy. I am here to help them. And I see them as kids, right? So 40-year-old something women, 35-year-old women who show up with resistance. And they could be the ones that are like, yeah, I want to work with you. I'm going to pay you in full. And then they get in the room and they're like, I don't want to do that. I'm going to sit out, you know? And they end up getting to a place where they find their power. They get into the sense of like, oh, I get it. And I worked with, yeah, there's so many stories. This one woman, she was a mom. She had a teenage boy, son, single mom. We worked 6 months together. The whole 6 months she was kicking and screaming the whole time. And by that, I mean like she was late to her calls. She would schedule and reschedule. And I just kept holding space. I didn't make her wrong. 3 months after we finished working together, she got a new place to live by the beach where she wanted. She met an amazing man who she thought she would never meet because she had a teenage son with autism. And she ended up getting a new job that paid her more money. And she is like the award winner of like what the most she got out of working with me. Because even though she showed up, what I'd like to say, like, you know, like a kid being late with his homework and all that stuff, she never quit. She didn't stop in the middle. And I'm just, you know, I'm so proud of her because she's not from this country and she was living in this country and she's like, I can only work in this kind of place. So many limitations. And another woman that got so much out of working for me had done so much work already that I was a little like intimidated, where I was like, what am I going to show her? But when working with her, I learned how to surrender and I saw my genius come up. I planned, but I didn't have to stick to that plan. And she was so go with the flow with me that she got so much out of the program because she inspired my growth. And by my growth, she grew. And that's the best thing that happens, especially in a sisterhood. And so if it's somebody working with me one-on-one or somebody working in a group, it's like having that connection that's ongoing. If one person grows, everybody grows. And there's so many women doing women's work these days. And so, you know, it's about finding who you're attracted to. And so if someone's watching this and they're like, oh my God, I don't know, I love the way her face looks, or I love what she's talking about, or something she said stuck with me. Or when I'm speaking, there's something that chills go through your body. Those are the things to pay attention to. And I had somebody work with me once because they were like, I always wanted to come to New York and I never got to, so I just like hearing you talk. And I was like, oh, that's so funny, you know? And so follow that instinct, that impulse that says like, this is something I want to do. And then if you're busy, or if you have an overscheduled schedule, make yourself a priority. You know, it's the women I want to work with that are ready to make themselves a priority, even if their schedules are super busy. And they say like, my schedule's super busy. It's going to be hard to get started, but I want to say yes. That's who I want to work with.
Exactly. Well, you get out of it what you put into it.
Exactly.
And I'm curious, like, for example, this, so if you don't do just sitting down and talking and there's a lot of movement in your sessions, like, tell me a little bit more about what that kind of movement looks like so that people get an idea of, like, an experience of what you offer.
Great. So I also want to say, when you get into a room that has an intention, right? Like I set intentions wherever I go. So my intention is to be present and supportive and maybe something else and tap into my highest wisdom. When you walk into that room, it's about being peaceful and surrendering to whatever's going to be will be. And so often we start out, there's some breathing exercises. There's always rest and relaxation. There's always sharing. And the movement piece is about finding your unique, sexy dance. And maybe it's not sexy. Maybe it's your angry, pissed off, bad mood dance. Maybe, you know, it's all these different movements and I guide you through it. So we do a bunch of warm-up exercises and they're usually connection exercises. And because I have a big theater background, there's a lot of centering and it could be something like mirroring each other. So standing in front of another woman and one person is the leader, the other person follows, and getting out of the head, getting out of like, am I doing this right? Am I doing this wrong? I can't think of anything, because those thoughts will come up right away. And so I set up different people together, one person who seems like they're ready, one person who seems a little shy. So there's a bunch of my intuition that's happening. And then we do some voice warm-ups. And then I put on some music. And you find your music. Like some people get turned on to heavy metal. Some people get turned on to something like Sade. Some people like rap, hip hop. And so I use a playlist to inspire movement that's natural. And if dance is not something natural, you can start out with just your finger. You know, there's no wrong way to do anything. And sometimes it's easier to close eyes and dance. Sometimes it's easier to dance in a corner. Sometimes it's easier to put your hair in front of your face and move. Some women dance really well with a hood on because not everybody wants to be seen. Everybody is at different stages. So there's different ways to start moving so that we can get out of our heads. And the hood is a great idea because you can hide. And, you know, when I would take Bollywood classes or any structured dance class, I wanted it to be perfect. You know, I was pissed that I wouldn't look good or I was offbeat. And so in one class, I remember saying, can we face away from the mirror? And so a lot of my workshops don't have mirrors because there's no need. This isn't for anyone. This is for your body to have an experience. So that's like a basic. And then we come together back in a circle and share. So there's a lot of sharing. It's structured sharing. So it's not like going down a rabbit hole or like talking a long story. It's like sharing quickly. And then we do a closing meditation. And then there's always time after each workshop to yap it up with each other. Like there's no rush to leave. Because sometimes after doing this work, you want to like find your feet again and find your safety before leaving back into the streets of Manhattan. Because we basically open our hearts. And it's not always the safest thing to like leave right away after a workshop because your heart's open and then there's creepers out there. So to really integrate both, like staying safe and strong and powerful and having a little bit of masculine energy so that you make good decisions and choices. And you're not like lifting into the ether and loving the first person you see. And so that chatting time at the end of the workshop is like, we're at a slumber party and everyone's like, ah, la, 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 la. And the coolest thing is after a workshop, everyone looks beautiful. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, I look at women who come in like, ugh, haggard, and all of a sudden their eyebrows are arched, their cheekbones are higher. It's like a real physical transformation that happens. And it's like when
Exactly. I mean, you're really shifting in that type of work. You're really shifting your hormonal balance. You know, you're filling yourself up with all this oxytocin through all the sensuality and the connection, and you know, you're getting into your pleasure, and that like literally shifts the hormonal balance in your body and causes your circulation to improve. And it just, that's why women wear makeup, to mirror what happens in the body naturally when we're feeling pleasure.
Yes. Yes. Oh, you just brought in the science piece. I mean, the cortisol that races through our body that causes stress, that eventually causes dis-ease, like disease, people. We have to get in our bodies. And women, we need...
And in a pleasurable way, because so many,
yes.
you know, and like, don't get me wrong, I like going to the gym and lifting weights sometimes too. It's just that actually can increase your cortisol and can increase your stress. And especially for women, it's so important to get into our bodies in a sensual way where you're just enjoying the moment and you're enjoying that feeling of connection and sensuality.
Yes.
Because that's what like actually regenerates and rejuvenates us.
Yes. And it's like moving slow. You know, everybody goes to yoga, but, you know, there's some competition in there, you know, within the self, I find. And especially like a Bikram class or where something's very like hard, go hard, you know, and
yeah, there's different kinds of yoga. I find like some encourage that and some encourage more going inward. But it sounds like the type of work that you do is more, because a lot of yoga classes nowadays don't necessarily guide you inward. So the default that people come in with is to be competitive, even if that's not what yoga is about. Whereas what you're talking about is you really set the intention and guide women inward with the meditation, and then the practice is guided so that they connect with their own rhythm and their own, the music they connect with and the rhythm and the movement that they connect with, so that you're guiding them and connecting with themselves.
Yes. And it might be the first time. Like I've seen women, and it's so precious. I see their innocence. It's like they could be in their 30s and for the first time they're moving slowly just for themselves and not dancing to attract or dancing for a purpose, but dancing for the self. And it's so cute. It's like, you know, I don't stare at them, but I can't help but see they're like, oh, I can be sensual and not label myself as anything. And we're in a room with all women. Is anyone going to touch me? And does this mean I'm a lesbian? Like all these stuff that comes up.
That's so cute. And I mean,
yeah.
And also, like, I like what you just said about that these women are in their 30s and that maybe it's the first time that they're moving to enjoy themselves, not moving in order to attract someone else. And that, I think, is the secret, and it's part of what I teach to women as well around attracting a man, is that the irony of it is that when you're doing something for him, that actually doesn't make him necessarily feel anything, because what's more attractive is for a woman to be really feeling her own pleasure and to be receiving pleasure both from him and from herself and from life, and being, you know, in her sensuality, not just for sexuality, but if a woman is really able to feel love towards herself, no matter what emotion she's feeling. And I love how you were saying, you know, you encourage a woman, if she's not feeling good, to dance her anger and to dance her sadness, and to really have, and what that means is you're able to fully accept yourself and move with it. That is so attractive. And when you're able to embody that self-acceptance around a man, then he feels safe to be himself. And he thinks, oh, then she's going to accept me if she accepts herself. And that is what's most attractive. It's not like you know, so many women overfunction and do things all the time for others. And even if you're doing things for others, they might not, as opposed to like really coming from the place of giving to yourself first and then letting the extra spill over.
And I really relate to that because I only did things to attract men like that. What else would I do? You know? And then this neediness is there because it's annoying if someone's like, hey, look at me. Hey, you know, because that's really what's happening. And nobody wants that. Or they want it for a very short minute, you know, because it's like there in their face. It's like not like hard. It's easy, but it's not quality.
Right, because the person isn't like really enjoying the moment and enjoying themselves. And when you can really enjoy yourself, even when you're upset or sad or angry, and like feeling those things as sensations and really accepting them and embodying them, that's what really is powerful and attractive.
Yeah, and that's my goal, is to work with women who want to feel powerful and attractive. And even if it's a partner, if it's not a partner that their goal is, you know, if it's a job, or if it's just to feel better about themselves, like, you know, so they don't have to look in the mirror and see a wrinkle and get so upset about it, or, you know, feel anxious when they wake up in the morning, like how to deal with that, you know, when they're around their family and they just feel beat up and taken advantage of with certain friends, like how to navigate all those things, like, you know, setting boundaries and being clear and knowing what you want when you're going into a job and you want to make 140,000 and they're offering you 80. Like, how do you do that? You know, how do you get in touch with your desires every moment so that you don't overly say yes and overly obligate yourself? You know, it's all part of this. So this work isn't just to like get a man, get a partner, and even looking at that. And that's a big thing for me, is something I'm constantly working on, like, he exists, therefore I am. Like, my life is good, but it can be great if I have a man, you know? And I fall into that trap. I'm like, what the hell, you know? So I'm working on the rest of my life, and I'm working on everything. So I have clear intentions and clear self in every arena, including men, including a partner. So it doesn't have to just be for heterosexual women, you know, it could be for anyone. But even clear in my relationships with friends, which I find it really hard to say no to women that I care and love, because I don't want to hurt their feelings. But I'm not in charge of hurting their feelings. I'm in charge of just taking care of my own. And so a big piece of what I offer is communication and how to weave into what your desires are, what you don't want to do, and really getting clear. So even if you very subtly don't want to do it, like it's a maybe, if it's a maybe, it's a no. And how to say no to people that you love, who count on you for certain things. So it's that inner peace that goes into every arena of life that gives you space to actually enjoy what you want to do.
Exactly. I love that inner space, because that's where your desires are. You know, when you really feel into that inner space inside of yourself. And that's what I teach in the communication piece as well, like how to create those boundaries and say no in a way that really honors yourself and honors the other person. That's, you know, less likely to hurt their feelings, even though their feelings aren't your responsibility, but like how to really honor them, how to create boundaries in a loving way with them, so that, you know, if their feelings are hurt, can you really be present with that and give them empathy for that and still say no? You know,
absolutely.
like,
right. And not be defensive or passive aggressive. Right. Those are my two favorite go-tos. Like,
hold space for both realities. Like, both realities are beautiful, your reality and their reality. And, you know, you can share your truth and their truth, and they can both exist. And
absolutely,
you know, you can go deeper, and that's what creates intimacy, is being able to really see yourself and being able to really see the other person, even if you don't agree, even if you're saying no to something. It's like, what are you both saying yes to then?
Oh, I'm so glad I know you. I need your support. Yeah, it's like, it's not making anybody wrong and finding the yes. It's like, I think of that Venn diagram, and it's like that middle piece. Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah, it sounds like the type of work that we do is really aligned, and I look forward to going to some of your classes. And so I want to know if women are either watching this live or if they're watching the replay, what is a way to experience your work? What is the next step that they can take?
Yay. So I also want to share that Valerie is a part of the program, and that it is a bonus for you to work with the women that will be in the group. And so basically, I have a once a month workshop that is a total drop-in, no commitment. It's $35. It's an hour and a half with a half hour of hangout time afterwards. And I'll be there for the extra half hour for any questions or any other programming questions. So that's an easy walk-in. And then I have an 8-week deep dive that begins, the next one starts July 12th. And there are 2 options of how you want to do that, but they're group programs. One option has more private one-on-one time, and the other one has everything. There's online classes, and there's in-person classes, and there's at-home curriculum, and there are sister buddy calls. So you get matched up with someone to do a quick check-in for accountability and to set up action steps. And the reason I like the 8-week deep dive is this is for the woman who's like, I want to see change. You know, maybe she's a little in her masculine energy and she wants to manifest something, and she knows what it is. Or she knows her life is overwhelming and busy, and she's like, I need something, and I need a lot of it. So that's starting July 12th, and then it starts again in September, so it's ongoing. But you have to start in the beginning and end in the end. It's culminating, and it keeps the sanctity of the group because it is a true sisterhood. And then I have a 3-month sensual sisterhood that is as intense, but longer and more drawn out. So this is like for the woman who really likes to luxuriate in herself and wants more of it and needs more support. And that will start in September as well. And classes will be held in Brooklyn and Manhattan. And I've been doing some remote sessions by Skype and Google Hangout and Zoom. So you don't have to live in New York. We can work together any way you want. And to stay in touch with me and figure out, you can buy and reserve your spaces for the 8-week deep dive and the workshop class at enchantedembodiment.com. And if you have any questions, I am so available. I'm really here to answer your questions, to see if it's a good fit. I offer a 15-minute desire call to see if this is a good fit for you. Because if you want to work with me, great. I want to see if I want to work with you and if you'll actually get something from the program. So it's kind of like a little way to see each other, to see if our energy jives. And on the website, if you go there, you can see the dates for the rest of the year, the drop-in dates, and you can buy your ticket in advance if you're a schedule ahead type lady. And all classes are for women.
Yes, and you said, I think these little hearts are so funny. Enchanted embodiment. I know, we couldn't figure out how to get you.
I know. I'm moving like I have them, but they're not there.
Yeah, they're enchanted hearts. You said enchantedembodiment.com. Is that just one word with no hyphens?
Exactly. One word, no hyphen. And I use the word enchantment because I'm a big Stevie Nicks fan, and she always has enchanted things going on. So I'm all about magic, and you know, there are linear details to the programs, but there's so many goodies that I could never mention that happen. And it's not even saying yes to me. It's like you saying yes to yourself is what's going to give you all the goodies life has to offer. And that's something that Louise Hay says. And she was one of my very first teachings that I would listen to. And it just took over my life. And so a lot of what I teach comes from the place of, if you think it, you can believe it. There's a lot of mindset work. And then I also I'll be at Connection Camp this weekend. I'm doing a workshop there. And then I do some random different retreats. But, you know, let's stay in touch. And, you know, for some women who are busy or who have their summer mapped out, If now is not the time, get on my mailing list, because it's really good to get these little pokes of like, hey, it's time to love yourself, because it's so easy. All of a sudden it'll be December and it's like, then you have like a crick in your shoulder, it's winter, and you're like, I wish I would have been loving myself this whole time. So that's why I offer the once a month drop-in class. Like, you can just show up to that and see how you feel.
That's great. And I know that you have an offer that I just put up on the right side of the screen for people that are watching live. That's just for people that are watching live or that register that are watching the replay over the next few days, because it is June 27th right now.
Yes.
So you're having a class on June 30th. Tell us more about that and what you're offering to people that are either registered for this interview or watching this now.
So if you're live or if you're watching this in the replay, up till the 30th, basically, so otherwise it won't, I'll offer something else somewhere else. So you can go to Enchanted Embodiment and register for the 30th, and the code is LOVE, L-O-V-E, and you get $10 off. So your class is $25, and you can share that code with anyone you share this video with, because Valerie's great, and I want everybody to know, to be in this like cauldron of goodies. So that's to all the people listening. And then an extra bonus, if you're interested in the 8-week deep dive, and this is like a new secret bonus that I made up today. If you're interested in the deep dive and you want to put your deposit down before the 30th, I will give you the VIP upgrade if you want to invest in the lower price program. So that's a really big deal. I'm really excited about that. And yeah, and so the 8-week deep dive, and you can get all the details online, and the price is on my website as well. It's $9.97 for the 8 weeks. And the VIP program is $14.97. But if you're interested in working in that program, you get the upgrade for the lower price. That feels really exciting. So if you're a yes, let me know, reach out to me, or just register on the website.
It is exciting, and you're having this this class, this in-person class on June 30th, and that's in a couple days. And
that's in a couple days, yes.
A link on the right side of the screen that has a link to register for that workshop. Tell us a little bit about that. Like, what is that going to be? What you talked about with the group meditation, and women get to find their dance and be celebrated in their dance.
Yes, exactly. So that's exactly what the workshop will be. It will be rest, relaxation, connection, communication games, movement, sharing, and then hanging out for 30 minutes while everybody gets back to their newly shifted reality. We always get together in a beautiful space, and there's always like beautiful water to drink and snacks to have. So it's like a goddess place. You know, that word gets overused. But it's like when you can show up and you don't have to think of anything or plan anything or bring your water. It's like, you can just receive. And that's the space that I set. So there's always some flowers around, and there's always support with other women that have either done the work with me or have done programs that I've been in. So if there's ever a moment where you're like having a nervous breakdown and you want to freak out, but you don't know how, there are sisters in the room that you can say, can you just listen to me? I need to vent, or I need some space. Will you listen? You know, whatever they need, that they're there to support you. So I'm leading, I'm facilitating, but then there's, that was a loud noise. But then there's other women in the room that have either volunteered or that work with me, so they can provide space for you.
That sounds so much fun. Maybe I will be there.
Yes.
And so I put the offer on the right side of the screen. If people are watching live, they can click on that. If you're watching the YouTube video, then or the replay, then I will post the link to Enchanted Embodiment underneath, and people can find out about that, and also your 8-week program. And there is that incentive to sign up in the next few days if you just watched this interview and you're like, oh my God, I want the magic and the enchantment that she has.
Yes. And the code to save money is LOVE. Don't forget that. So you give yourself a little bonus gift.
Yes. Well, thank you. And we have a couple people here. I want to open it up for questions in a minute. I'm going to see if I can keep that offer up and add an offer that I am offering as well. If not, then we'll just make sure to post the links underneath the replay video.
Okay, I can't see what's happening. I see group chat, but I don't see it. So if there's questions, if you can read them to me, that'd be great.
Oh yeah, I don't see any questions yet, but if people have questions,
okay, great.
You can write them in the chat on the right side of the screen if you're here live. And obviously, if you're watching the YouTube replay, then you can just post the questions in the comments of the video.
I just found something fun. So you have your hearts, and I have this feather.
Woo! Yay! I love it.
Yay, toys.
Yes, toys are wonderful, and I have the hearts, and you have the feather. The hearts follow me around. Fun to watch. And I am teaching a webinar as well in a couple of days. While we wait for people to ask questions, I'd like to offer that for free to everyone as well. And so that will be Wednesday night, so the day before you teach your workshop.
Yes.
I'm teaching a webinar on Wednesday, June 29th. And it's for people that are in relationship and they're either just the passion is gone, or you're fighting a lot, or maybe one of you gets needy and the other gets demanding, and the other withdraws, or if you just feel distant. So the webinar is basically how to bust the myths that keep your relationship in that state of conflict, and how to really learn what's your fighting style. So that is how you respond during conflict that creates the never-ending cycle of fighting, and then how to really share your feelings in a way that draws your partner closer instead of pushes them away. And then there'll also be live Q&A with me. If people are too shy to ask questions now, they can show up either on Wednesday to ask me questions or on Thursday to ask you questions.
Yes.
And so I'm going to post the link to that too, but that's basically coachvaleriegreen.com/stop fighting. And I'm going to email that to everyone after this, as well as post the link to that below this YouTube video. And if you're watching this after the June 29th, then I will post a link to the replay of that too, so everyone can watch that. And I want people to be able to contact you as well. It is the best way to contact you through the Enchanted Embodiment website.
Yep. So you can find the email there, or you can write me at love@enchantedembodiment.com. And I'm also I'm also on Facebook and Twitter. I'm available. You know, if you're ready, like, reach out. And you can just be like, I'm ready. You don't need to write a whole email, or you can write a whole book. Either way, I will respond.
That's wonderful. So love@enchantedembodiment.com.
Yes.
I love that. Mm-hmm. And my email is Valerie, VALERIE, @Coach Valerie Green, like the color, with an E at the end, .com. So Valerie @CoachValerieGreen.com.
Beautiful.
And I'll be teaching a connection camp too, so it'll be fun to play with you.
Yeah, I'm really excited.
Go to each other's workshops and just swim in the lake together, and to see how we can inspire each other with our self-sensual.
And so I'm going to bring my journal and notebook.
Yay.
Yeah.
And just in case anyone's inspired by that, that's what connection-camp.com, right?
Yes, and there's a couple of spaces left. And there's going to be tons of workshops about connecting. Like, there's contact improv, which I haven't tried yet, unbelievably, and circling. Yeah, a bunch of stuff. Look it up and come if you have no plans this weekend.
So you'll also be teaching your workshop at Connection Camp, right? The same one you'll be doing Thursday?
Yeah, I'll be teaching it. You know, it's always different depending on who's in the room. And I'll also be leading circling, which is something that I've invested time and energy in leading as well.
Circling is amazing. It's a way to really be able to see inside yourself in a group of people. Yeah,
I just learned a new way to say it, because I was always like, it's a group relational practice. Because I would say meditation and communication, and people were like,
what?
Yeah, like you're quiet and you're talking. So it's a group relational practice.
Well, you're sort of going inward while you're in a group and relating to each other, like in a way that makes everyone experience more of themselves, but with others. It's really awesome. I love circling.
Yes.
And I'll be teaching a workshop on how to fully give and how to fully receive. So
I'm going to that one. I need support. I need help.
So fun. It's so exciting to be sharing resources and playing like this. So I suppose we don't have any more questions, but people can always reach out to us, and I will post the links to our websites below the video so people can get access to all the goodies.
Yeah, or comments. If anybody has a comment, like that'd be fun.
Yeah,
I like connecting. I'd love to, feedback.
Right. Or tell us what you want to see more of, or how you want what you want us to create content or classes about next. We just love hearing from you.
It's true.
So this has been exciting. Any parting comments that you want to leave everyone with?
I want to share a secret way to take a bath. It's called the Cleopatra's bath.
Ooh.
And it is. Here's the ingredients. A gallon of full whole milk mixed in with your hot water, of course. Honey, a whole thing of honey, and rose petals. And then get in your bath and luxuriate, and your skin will be amazing. If you can do it once a month, commit that way to yourself, it's amazing.
Wow. Maybe like post the ingredients to that under the video.
I will, and I'm going to put my tiara on.
Yes. That does sound really, really awesome.
It's beautiful, and I just thought to myself, what should I do after this? And I'm like, I will take that bath.
Yes. Here, I'll put a tiara on too.
I know.
But that's awesome. I want. I made sure to get a place with a bathtub so that I could take baths.
Me too.
I recently moved, and I was like, the place has to have a bathtub.
Well, I love that, and I want to share that when I moved into this place, it was gut renovated. I manifested a gut renovated beach house, and the guy was like, "Oh, the shower's gonna go here," and I was like, "It's non-negotiable. I need a bathtub." And he put in an amazing bathtub. It's like translucent, pearly white, and I'm gonna take a bath with the crown on my head. Oh, girly fun!
Wow, I will look forward to taking a bath as well.
That will not be on video. We will take private baths.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I just want to thank you so much. This has been good. It feels really good for my soul to share, and I really feel honored that you've given me this time. So thank you.
Yeah, likewise. Any way that we can reach out and support each other, and I look forward to seeing you and frolicking and swimming in the lake and all that good stuff this weekend. Yay.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, and I can't wait to see what happens next.
Yay! Me too.
Okay.
Mwah.
Bye, everybody. Thank you for tuning in whenever you are. Thanks.
Yay! And we're posting the links below the video, so take a look at those. And we'll see you soon.
Okay. Bye.